we're talking about content today, and I think that's probably one of the most common excuses that you get from people with content. They know that they need to do it, or they have this inkling that they need to start creating content, but they let the busyness and um, the to-do list get in the way of actually going and doing content. So we're going to talk about a lot of areas, but thank you for making time to make content, even in the midst of the chaos.
Can I put that in my LinkedIn profile? Look, content maker, content manufacturer. You know
A
what?
content creator.
This is a word I know a lot of the experience builder listeners, we've all heard it for years. For some reason, I'm internalizing it a lot more since I became active in a podcast. But for those that are maybe not as engaged, let's just make sure we have a common, definition of what it means. So content really is it's the subject or idea that's contained in something that's written, spoken, or represented. So if you think about that, I mean, it really is the content is the idea that your contribution is communicating. So
Mhm.
I started thinking about what does that include? Well, you and I were talking just before we started recording. I've got 3 people that got on airplanes today to go see clients, 2 at shows, 1 at their office out in San Francisco. Um, the narrative and the discussion that happens is content. The slide deck that may or may not be up on a screen is content. The website things we just updated are content. Your LinkedIn posts, your Instagram, or as the young kid says, the gram, right? The stuff you put on Instagram or Facebook, um, a podcast interview that you might do on a show like this, like Experience Builders. How about your TikTok video? All of those things are putting forth an extension of you or your company, your ideas, your values, your principle, whatever, and people are gonna judge you. Sometimes it's your company, sometimes it's your personal brand. By the way, I think all of us know, Khalil, people that have misstepped with messaging or dare I say content. And it's hurt them professionally and it's hurt their company and their companies distance themselves. So I just content isn't just the copy in your brochure anymore, right? Or on your website. It's become I my opinion, I think it's become the number one influencer that your customers are making spend decisions with you about. Remember when it used to be um it was just the product you sold the product and it was the features and benefits of the product. And I think there's a lot of really great products out there now. And I just think the people representing those products, the relationships they have with you very often based on how you meet. And in the business world, we're usually meeting over content, whether it's at a conference or it's a web lead because I saw your offering, right? And all of a sudden our relationship is well underway before I kick the tires on your product. So that's what I mean when I say I think it's becoming the most influential thing. So
Yeah.
seemed to me like it would
Well,
be a great time for discussion about how meaningful it is in our lives.
for sure. You know, inbound marketing is what it was coined by, I believe, HubSpot
Yeah.
back in,
Yep.
gosh, 2009 or something like that. And I think it really marked a shift. We all carry around our phones now, and we've got access to content on multiple channels, whether that's LinkedIn or Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, like you mentioned, websites, apps, whatever it is. And back in the day, going to buy a car, for example, the the power was in the hands of the seller because they had all the knowledge,
It's
right?
the
You
only
show up
place
to
you
the
could get the
lot.
content, right? You had to go to the
Only
dealership.
place you get to the content. You had to go to the dealership, you figure out, "Oh, wow, okay, how much does this car cost?" You have no idea. What's the mileage? Tell me about this make and model. You had to go to the dealership to get the information. Maybe you could get a magazine sent to you where it has all the specs listed out or whatever, but for the most part, you're going to the dealership and you had no power. All the power was in the hands of the seller. But this has been true for over a decade now, the power is in the hands of the buyer because content is readily
For
available anywhere.
sure.
If you
Yeah.
wanna go to a I don't know many people who go to buy a car without Googling it first and just show up on the lot these days.
And probably know more about that car than the
They
sales rep
usually
that
know
they're meeting.
more than the salesperson, right?
I can get the
Because
Carfax, I can learn the history.
yeah,
I'm buying a pre-owned car and I've looked at 10 just like it, whereas he's got one of them on a lot with 300 cars. He's probably not memorized. You're absolutely right, Khalil. I think all of the leverage shifts to the buyer side.
it shifts to the buyer. So if you're not creating content, then you are not giving the knowledge necessary for the buyer to make the decision that they're trying to make. And so you're missing out on the opportunity to educate buyers before they even have a conversation with you.